Hey guys, welcome to Beyond Bricks. I am your host, Kevin Stewart, and guys, I'm pretty excited about today. I am continuing in this effort to bring to you, and I promised I would do it, but continuing to bring to you the individuals and the people in my life that have created an impact for me and have spoken into my life and live life with me and bring things into my world that matter. And today I'm super excited to bring one of those individuals to you. I've got my good friend, Matt Bitonti, with me. He's actually my insurance agent. For those who don't know, he's my insurance agent, but he's way more than that. He's a friend. He's a confidant. He's a golf buddy. He's a travel buddy. And we have had, I've had the joy to be able to live my life with him. And he breathes into what I'm trying to bring to you guys. And this came about today. I'm going to let Matt jump in here in a second, that he's on today because what we've been doing connected to him. So Matt, tell us a little bit about how today came about.
Yeah, very simple. I just happened to catch an Instagram clip of, one of your podcasts. And I think EJ was your guest that day. And you simply put, and I thought very well said, that people matter. And maybe one of the reasons they don't realize is because no one's ever told them.
Yeah.
And I think it was a quick text. I just complimented you on what you were doing, and I thought it was a great message.
And it's things like that I believe are starting to create an impact with this show. And it's the reason I wanted to do it, and then getting the opportunity to have the conversation with you and text back and forth about it, to then be able to have you on today so that we can have a conversation so that the people watching and listening can hear some of your story, is why I want to do this. So let's start with that. Tell me a little bit, and tell everyone listening a little bit about your story of what brought you to where you are at in your life today.
Oh God.
Which is a big question.
Yeah.
That's a super big loaded question, but yeah, just a little bit into the glimpse.
Just serial entrepreneur, I think what ultimately brings me, to where I'm at in my life is sort of like maybe what I would like to talk about. I would like to tell people. I've always just had this feeling of like, well, I just want to be happy today, right? Mm-hmm. And if I'm happy today and then I'm happy tomorrow, right? Then you string a few happy days together, then you're a happy person, right? I don't know that I've ever really wanted anything in particular, like any item or anything that, I thought, okay, this is it. I just wanted to figure out a way to be happy. And my dad talks all the time about using your skill sets. And for me, it's like, I have like one skill set. It's like my communication skills, right? So I somehow ended up in the insurance world. And it was actually a buddy from high school that encouraged me to join him in the insurance business. And then, that sort of led me to where I am at today. But it was always based on how am I just going to wake up that day and do what I have to do and be happy doing it. And this role allows me to use my skill set, which is, basically when I was watching what you said, Nick Saban famously on stage one day, he said, if you want to be happy for a day, go play golf.
Yeah.
If you want to be happy for a month, go buy a car. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, make sure somebody misses you when you're gone. Right?
Gosh, that's good.
That was the message. And I was like, man, that's, pretty powerful. So when I deal with my day, what I recognize is that my most successful days are when my tone of voice impacts the outcome when I'm communicating with people.
Yeah.
That's it. It's really that simple. Like if people were really, you hear it all the time, like tone matters, of course. And maybe it's overused, but it's true. Mm-hmm. How you communicate with people, the tone of voice that you use to articulate your thoughts, your feelings, your concerns, right? It matters.
Well, and I don't think we've ever had this conversation. At least I've never told you this, but one of the things that I've always appreciated about you is your tone. You have a calm presence. So we're very opposite in the fact that I am loud. I'm kind of obnoxious at times. I've been known to have a couple more drinks than I'm supposed to where you're the calm, cool, collected. Like I think about when we traveled together to Scotland, we got the absolute blessing to go with some of our best friends in the world and go to Scotland for 10 days together. And that's actually probably the largest amount of time I've spent with you. And you were the calm voice of reason always. Now you still had a lot of fun, right? You still are able to have fun, but your fun is just different, right, than mine. We're different personalities, but complementary personalities, I believe. And I really appreciate that you're the type of person that can just calm a room down. And things can get tough and intense, but you have a way of just, guys, it's okay. Everything's fine. Well,
I sort of credit my dad for this, right? I watched him for years and he used to take me with him, right? So if he had a conversation that he had to have with somebody that was going to be difficult or fun or whatever it might be, he would say to me, just pay attention to what is about to happen here. And I just recognize that from a young age, that how he went about telling, delivering this message, whatever it was, his tone of voice always impacted the outcome, right? So I don't care what it is. If you're talking to your kids, you're talking to your spouse, to your, anybody, whatever it might be, employees, customers, company people that you have to deal with, whatever it might be. I'm in the middle right now of a huge problem with weather in the insurance business, and how I have communicated my concerns to the, 7 different levels of people has made an impact on where we stand today. So it's something that's been omnipresent in my life, and I don't think about it every day, but after watching those clips from one of your podcasts, it's had me, take a step back and realize how important that element is every day in my life. And, my message is simple. It's like, if everybody thought about their tone just a little bit more, how different could things look?
Oh man, that's so true.
The outcome of every conversation between 2 people or 10 people would be different based on, the tone.
Well, and think of the world that we live in right now. I mean, we live in this world where everybody wants to talk over everybody. They feel this crazy need to push opinion down someone's throat instead of meeting them where they're at, listening and responding. And I think that you do a very good job of that. I can tell you, as not just a friend, but a customer of yours, it's clear inside the people that work for you as well, that you bring a presence into your company that rubs off on them. And what better place for that to be than in insurance, in a world where if someone's calling you, it's because something went wrong.
Yeah,
like when someone picks up the phone, it's not usually because they're calling to say, hey, thanks for charging me my premium this month, right? If they're picking up the phone and calling you, it's what happened? Are you okay?
Remember my, be happy for a month, go buy a car. That's about the only time that people are happy, when they're calling us, right? They're excited to get a new car. And so occasionally they're buying a new house, but a new house is a stressful thing, as
super stressful.
But most of the time when people call, my phone, it's nonstop all day long. I have a very flexible life, but I'm connected to my phone. Mm-hmm. And the majority of our clients will communicate with me via text message. And then it will result in a phone call. And imagine a life where 80% of the conversations I have, somebody is upset. Mm-hmm. Somebody's irritated. Maybe they're not upset with us, right? But they're going through a really stressful time with a claim or a potential claim. Or what's happening most of the time right now is they're just upset about their premium. Yeah. And, I'm not the guy that sets the premium, but I am the guy that has to explain why. And we have a ton of great insurance carriers as our partners. And I know what pressures they're under, but these are multinational, in a lot of cases, big businesses. Yeah. And when I have to talk to a customer about a 40% increase in their insurance, it's just, and that's what I do most of the day. And then I'll get home or I'll be done with my day and I realize why I'm exhausted, but I'm okay with it because I know that I did my best to make that person feel better about something.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. So if my tone can help somebody feel better about a situation that we really can't change, then I did my job.
Well, and I believe that everybody in business, because we deal with the same thing. We deal with in a high stress business in real estate. It's a stressful thing to move. It's a stressful thing to buy a new property, to make a financial commitment that we ask people to make the decisions, getting stuck in the decision, and having a calm, collected voice. For me, I've had to learn that what the customer wants is for you to say, I've got your back.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be okay. I've got you, and I'm going to help you land in the right spot.
Right.
And that calm voice is a great lesson that I think I need to be better at. I need to grow in that, having a soft tonality, I can even tell in just the way we're talking, like my tone changes because of yours. And I think that is a good thing because the world needs a little bit of calm, cool, and collected sometimes.
Yeah.
Do every once in a while we need to fire up and get excited. I'm excitable. I get excitable all the time.
Right.
There's a place and a time and a place for that. But in the world, in the space in which you live in, and a lot of us live in on a daily basis, man, having that calm voice of reason is a blessing.
Well, thank you. And you mentioned my staff, that I get calls. Some of the best phone calls, maybe the best phone calls I get or text messages I get are when, a client specifically names one of our staff members and talks about how they handled something. And it is incredible what the person that's actually handling that service element for you, how they respond and how they, in the way that they message, right? And we are big on the phone, like just pick up the phone. Yeah. Because the world has gotten way too segmented in terms of just, a quick email back and forth. Because they just want to do this.
Right.
And that, I think, is my biggest message to our staff, is that it goes back to the tone, right? It's hard to determine your tone in an email that you send. Mm-hmm. It's hard to show compassion or empathy in an email or a text message. So,
do you think people hide behind email?
Oh, certainly.
'Cause I think people hide behind email.
For sure. But that's why I believe our staff is different, because we still answer the phone live, which doesn't happen in the insurance business all that often. But if I have an email or a message that needs to be delivered, I'll send the email because we need to document things, right? But I will send the email and say, hey, I'm calling you to discuss this, right? I'm going to call you right now. I'm going to call you in a few minutes. And our staff does that as well. And that really, especially when you're delivering difficult news, right, it makes a huge impact, because we're sending you something that maybe you don't want to see, or it's just the lesser of two evils. Like, okay, we can't necessarily move you to a different insurance company to save you money this year, but we've looked at everything. We've shopped you to every possible carrier in the market, and we're calling you with some options.
Well, you guys did that with me. I've got a real world experience with that because, as did everybody. Right. You guys had to make the tough call to me to say, Kevin, this got a little weird.
It's not good. Yeah.
And this isn't pretty. And certain companies don't really want to insure you right now, based on certain criteria out there. And so, but you came and your staff and your team came to me and said, well, we have some things we're going to look into. We have a couple carriers that we think will land well for you, but then had to call back and say, the plane didn't land where we thought it was gonna. We still think you're in the right spot, but here's some creative ideas and adjustments that we're gonna make that will still get you where you want to be, financially from an insurance standpoint, and still get you the coverage that you need to make sure that you're in a good spot and you're not putting yourself in a bad place. Right.
We would quite frankly rather walk away from business than leave somebody underinsured.
Yes.
So, we're going to, give you all the options. We'll ultimately let you make a decision, but we're not going to let you make a bad decision. right? So, but that's what's happening a lot in our business. And imagine that the pressure on that and the tone it takes to satisfy a customer in an environment like this, where for no fault of your own, no claims, nothing, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't cause an accident. You didn't even get into an accident. You didn't have a homeowner's claim. And you're going to see your premiums up 30 or 40% based on severe weather that's happening in Southeast Michigan. Or, I think there's a lot of clients that feel like they're being impacted by, what's happening in Florida or California. And sometimes that's the case, but a lot of our carriers are regional and they don't insure those areas, but state of Michigan has had crazy weather.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Think about what's going on in northern Michigan right now with ice.
Think about
and
this
wind.
morning, the fact that we woke up and it's April and there's snow on the ground.
Yeah. So
what on earth?
So that's really what it is. Like if you're going to be in this business, you better understand your tone and how you're going to deal with, our staff. I feel for them because every single day, they might come into the office with an expectations of the things they're going to work on. But then what happens, right? Somebody makes a phone call and it derails the next 3 hours of their life. And then the thing that they were just piles up and piles up. So it's a tough business.
So what do you feel is some of your guys' differentiating factors? What are some things that set you apart? Would you say your tonality, your ability to pick up the phone, what sets you apart? Because we're both in what I would call relatively commoditized industries, right? Every single person knows 10 realtors.
Yep.
So we're constantly trying to find ways to set ourselves apart to be seen as something different. And I'm sure you're the same way because, again, everybody knows 10 insurance agents. So what is it that kind of sets you guys apart as you've built this company?
Yeah, it's the willingness to answer the phone and pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. There are dozens and dozens of options when it comes to an independent insurance agent right here in our area. A lot of us represent the same carriers. Do you want me to be your agent or not? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And I think that what, differentiates us is the staff. I might be very involved in the beginning of, bringing you an opportunity to look, to see things differently, bringing you a different carrier. But once that happens, I'm still very much involved, but our staff and their willingness to respond quickly in the insurance world, if you need something, you want it done right now.
Right now.
Right?
Right now.
So we respond very quickly, but we also answer the phone, right? If people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I answer my phone. Yeah. Right? Before I say I'm in the insurance business, I say I answer my phone.
It's like my son used to say when he was really young, this is like preschool age. They would ask, "What does your dad do for a living?" And his response is still, I'm going to put it on a business card day. One day is my dad meets the people.
Meets the people.
My dad meets the people.
Yeah.
And when people would ask him, "What does your dad do for a living?" And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, again, going into what are you going to be remembered for? And what does the legacy of your life stand for? I want to be someone who meets the people.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
I love that because it takes me outside of, he's someone who sells houses. I'm a salesperson. Right. I don't want to be seen as that because I'm a problem solver. I'm someone that'll get in the weeds with you. I'm someone that will help walk you through that. And walk you through a stressful situation. And I think that, you have the ability to do that inside your business as well. And I've seen it because I've experienced it with you guys, is you're willing to get down and deal with the frustrations and nuances, but in a way that is compassionate to the person with.
Right. And we have to be able to, go into the weeds on that. And a lot of times, like you as a customer, like you'll understand, you don't want us to just tell you, hey, this is what your increase is. You may end up with that increase, but if you know that we went to every other carrier that we had access to, and we looked at all the options and we discussed certain line item coverages and explained to you why you need those, or hey, this is something maybe you could do without this year, then you're going to feel satisfied and you're going to be okay with it. A lot of times it's not that a client can't afford that. They're just annoyed by it, right? So we get that. And I think that that's what differentiates us, is that our staff is willing to dive in, really look at it, and then compassionately, empathetically explain to people, which is hard to do over email.
Yeah.
That's why we pick up the phone, right? So, you meet the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we have to do all day long, but a lot of times we have to encourage, we have to go do that. We have to make sure that, because the client will call us sometimes, but sometimes they email, and even if their preferred form of communication is email, we still pick up the phone to make sure that they understand all the nuances of what's going on, right? But the meet the people thing, I mean, that to me, that's when I think of you, that's what I think of. Yes, you might be more excitable than me, but you're also the reason that people gather, right? So like I'm not the reason people gather. I might be the guy that calms it down during the gathering, but your superpower to me is bringing people together.
I love that. Thank you for that. And I think, so this is something that I've observed, because there's different ways. What is it they say? It's kind of a bad phrase, but there's a couple ways to skin a cat, right? Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
You have that power too. I mean, I think about the times when you've been to our club invitational multiple times. Justin's brought you as his guest multiple times, whether he should or should not. I mean, you're too good at golf. That's the problem. I mean, for anybody watching, he's significantly better than he should be at golf.
Maybe before I bought a business.
Before you bought a business. Yeah, we'll talk about that, I think, at some point. But, I just think about watching you at the club that I'm a member at, and you know as many people as I do. And you are a master at networking and understanding relationships. We go about it in two different ways, but you are an incredibly connected person, right? And I think about the fact, I've thought about it before, that, we met and knew each other at Red Run. We just hadn't got to know each other yet. Right. And it was later in life through a connected friend that we then started building a relationship with me and you. But observing the way you are in the connected way in which people gravitate towards you, it's different than me, but it's still super effective.
Yeah. And I think that some of the most connected people don't, it's certainly something that you have to work on. You have to spend time doing. You have to be thoughtful in how you continue to grow your network. But mine was a result of just all the different things that I did in my life, right? Different jobs, different. I'm at heart, I'm a coach, right? So I've coached different things, different levels. But when I look at the book of business today, it comes from every aspect of my life, from, coaching grade school basketball when I was a junior at the LaSalle, back at my grade school, St. Anne. That I have clients that from those days, right? My network exists from all the different things I've done in my life, and I'm happy to say I've never had to work hard to build a network, right? And that's why those relationships run so deep. And, certainly anybody that's in a business is going to try, everyone's in business to make money, of course, right? But when you can organically build a network just because of the things that you enjoy doing or the things that you've done in your life, those are the stickiest relationships, right? And that, I think, is what happens with you and I, and how in your group, you guys have at your club an incredibly diverse group of guys that really enjoy each other. And that's evident to me because of how much you hang out outside of the club, right? Travel together. And I was so blessed to be sort of like the one outsider invited on that trip to Scotland, right? I was the one guy that wasn't, a member of your club. And that's what I thrive on, is being involved with people in my network. But I didn't try hard to build any of those relationships, right? Being a part of a golf club is an incredible opportunity to build a network. But the people that you really spend your time with are people you don't have to work hard Right.
You get these relationships that become natural.
Yeah.
You gravitate towards each other because you are similar. You have some of the same similar interests. And I talk to people all the time about, that will ask me, how do I connect? How do I meet more individuals? People have coached that say, how do I go meet more people in my life? And I say, you have to start with a mutual connection, right? I'm not convinced that we have as deep of a relationship. It's not for golf, right? That's a space in which we connect on very well. Yeah. And I can think through a ton of the relationships that I have in my life. They're formulated through the mutual interest of golf.
Right.
I've talked about golf on a regular basis on this podcast as a huge blessing in my life because it allows me to spend time with people that I care about and do something that I love doing, that they love doing. And it's a beautiful sport that allows for that.
Yeah.
And allows for that connection. And I play it till the day I die.
Right.
Because I
talk
love
about
it.
Organic relationships, right? Those things happen. I mean, you don't have to work real hard to get to know somebody when you're on the golf course. You find out a lot about them. Character is like the most, I would say when I play a round of golf with somebody for the first time, you're going to learn who they really are pretty quickly. And I love the game because of that. Certainly challenge. We're always working out. We always want to get better. But I love tournament golf, and I love to watch how others play tournament golf. But I enjoy just a regular round where what you're doing and your score doesn't matter, because that's when you connect the most.
Well, and you're a worker at golf, right?
I used to be,
but
I'd like to
you're
be again.
You're someone who actually enjoys going and practicing.
Yeah.
You enjoy sitting on the range, going and putting, going and chipping.
Yeah.
And then you have me, who I'll show up 5 minutes before the tee time.
Right.
Let's rip it. Let's just have a good time.
Right.
You probably hit more balls on the range in one session than I do the entire year.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting? You talk about the practice part. At my club, that is a real social environment, the range. Right?
Interesting.
Or the putting green. It is. I find that some of my most enjoyable moments of a particular season maybe weren't even on the course. They were on the range. It's, when you show up, because if you're going to play golf, right, you have, the group that you're going to play with, right? Mm-hmm. But where do I get to see the most people? It's on the range, right? And, or on the putting green, where you're on the putting green and you're going to see multiple groups that are going to come by on their way to the golf course. Mm-hmm. So if I spend an hour on the putting green, I end up connecting with dozens of my friends or, fellow members. And I'm not doing it on purpose.
It's like an aha in my brain. I've never even thought of it from that perspective, because I love being at the course to connect with people. That's why I play golf. It's one of the huge reasons I play golf.
Right.
I'd never even thought about that.
Well, yeah, and I didn't think about it until you just brought it up, right? That's true, right? I used to have a thing, and I like to get back to it, where I'd hit 100 3-foot putts, right? And I have a circle around the hole. I got it from Phil Mickelson.
Yep.
And
he's pretty good at golf.
He's pretty good at golf, and it made me it really improved my putting, and I did it 25 days in a row. Maybe 2 years ago, and it takes a little bit of time, but you'd be blown away how many people I connected with, because what are you doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing, and why are you doing it?
Yeah, and I think that's the best part about the communication skills, or the tone. Like when my dad, when I would watch him, he wasn't doing it for personal gain. Right. And I don't go to the putting green because I want to connect with people to, sell insurance.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get better at putting. Right. And then I end up connecting with people as they walk from, the parking lot to the first tee, or somebody stopping on the putting green for a few minutes before they go play, or being on the range and there's, dozens of people out there. So I'm not telling you that you should go practice for that purpose, because I didn't think about it that way until now. But yeah, I mean, that to me, the joy of being at a golf club is not just the guys you're playing golf with that day. It's all the people that you're going to see when you go to that golf course, and the range and the putting green and the short game area. I mean, those are, I was out at the short game. We had a nice day a couple weeks ago, and I connected with some guys that I'll see here and there, but I had a conversation with another member that, we would never have had. He wasn't going to call me to talk about that, but we ran into each other, and, and he had a message about something he thought I would have some input in, and we had a great conversation.
Well, and I think that a lot of people don't see that, they look at their job as a job, or they look at, I hate to even say their career as just a job, when they don't realize that the connections they make by just being a good person is what can take their career to new heights.
Yeah.
One of the ways that I believe you've been successful, and I think that I've found some of those pieces of success as well, is that I think more about the person I'm with and the connection of getting to know them and letting business happen at later points.
Yeah.
People eventually talk business with you because they know you're good at your job.
Yeah.
They do, but you never lead with that. You never bring that into the golf course. You bring into, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm doing this putting drill that I learned from Phil Mickelson and this and that. That creates connection, which down the road leads to potentially business, which I don't think people see it the opposite way. We all know the people that come in the country club that first thing when they meet you want to tell you what they do for a living and ask if they can help you. And it's like, slow down, right? Nobody likes that guy at the country club. Very frowned upon at the country club. It's create a connection and get to know each other. If business happens, okay, but we're not necessarily here for that.
Well, I mean, you and I are both in a service industry, right? Mm-hmm. And we are, but again, like you said, a commodity-based deal where we're, customers have several options of who to work with. And, I certainly don't feel like our niche is ever going to be how many times did we ask, right? Yeah. It's never going to be like that. Certainly, that's not my approach. And look, there are guys in my industry that are super successful with the power play. Mm-hmm. It's just not who I am, right? I'm not going to do it. And if I'm less financially successful because of that, then that's okay. But back to the very beginning of this conversation, like I want to be happy, and it does not make me happy to push people to do something. Right?
You have to be who you are.
Yeah, so
you have to be who you are. I'll never forget a moment, and when I start talking about this, you're probably going to remember it too. At least to me, it's a core memory, and it's probably one of my favorite memories of the entire trip. We're playing St. Andrews. We're playing the old course. We get the opportunity to play it. Perfect weather day. We tee off with the second group off the tee. Right. And it's probably in the top 3 most memorable rounds of golf of my entire life. But my memory is walking down 18's fairway, and I'm in front of you because I hit the ball farther than you do.
That's true.
You're trailing behind me, which is fine. And I turn around because I'm emotional at that point because there's something nobody can understand until they've walked down 18 at St. Andrews. And there was something that came over me because you just feel history. You feel the game that you love and you feel that, but turning around and seeing people that I cared about and getting to experience it. And I was emotional and I turned around and so were you.
Yeah. It's crazy. Then, I'm feeling it right now.
And then you walked up and we had our arms around each other walking down the fairway, and there was the full on, I love you, man.
Yeah. Like it was I need to collect myself right now because that was, it's like it happened yesterday.
It was like it happened yesterday. And it was a memory that I will never forget. Yeah. And I believe created a connection there that I will never forget because of a round of golf. Right. Like how beautiful is that we both got to have that moment and got to be there with each other and experience that and see it on each other. Cause men we don't get emotional. We're not allowed to.
I'm an emotional guy.
I'm an emotional guy and we connect because I'm emotional as well.
Yeah. And I'm not embarrassed about it. I think it's great. And I think it's another thing, right? Like tone matters in showing your emotion. Right. And obviously you're an emotional guy and that's good too. right? Just being monotone all the time and always keeping it together. Like, I don't always keep it together, right? I'm an emotional guy, but I think that moments like that, like today, it's, opening day of the Masters, right? Like, we just, like, golf, it has changed my life, and it really doesn't have anything to do with how well you hit any particular shot. It really doesn't, right? Walking up 18, I don't remember what I made on 18. I don't, right? I don't know if you do. I think you made par.
I did.
All right.
I do remember.
I think I missed like a 6-footer for par.
I remember that Vince birdied.
Yeah, he did.
And the crowd cheered.
Yeah.
So for those who haven't experienced it, when you're walking down the fairway at St. Andrews, we had people following us for probably 6 or 7 holes because it's a public park. And so as we're walking down, you're surrounded. 18, it's one of the more nerve-wracking shots I've ever hit because I felt like I was a professional for a second. and you start to feel and realize holy cow, this feels like real pressure because people are watching me.
Yeah, right.
I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, I hope I don't blade this ball into the crowd. But, again, it's none of that mattered. It was the people we were with and watching, just getting to experience it with friends.
Yeah. And
that's the beauty of the game. And that's the beauty of, I think, why both of us connect so heavily into that game, because we're people. We're people.
Right.
We enjoy and love getting to live our lives with people that matter to us.
Yeah.
And if I had played that round with 3 strangers, I don't believe it would have nearly the impact of being there with some of my best friends, looking around and turning around and seeing that you're feeling the same thing I'm feeling and being able to connect in that moment and experience that. And I remember sitting at the restaurant after at the inn, and it's like we sat there in silence for a minute, just reflecting on what just happened.
Right.
And the 4 of us will get that forever. We will have that moment stamped in our minds forever, the 4 of us. And no one else will ever truly understand what that felt like.
Yeah, and that's why, I encourage people to travel and experience things together. And it's, that moment, I'm glad you brought it up because I'll certainly never forget it. Justin and Vince won't ever forget it.
Mm-mm.
And, again, just so blessed for me to be the guy, sort of the outsider of this really tight knit group of guys to be on that trip. It was for your 40th, yours,
mine and Justin's 40th birthday.
Yeah. And, thank you to you for being a connector because, obviously that many guys, getting together to go on a trip like that to celebrate you and Justin, that's pretty cool.
Well, and talk about a blessing to be able to have such an impactful group of friends. The amount of people that know we did that trip, what a blessing. Just, it's hard to even put into words, the blessing that I feel I have in my life because of the people that I'm able to be around. That's going back to the why of this podcast is I am so blessed to live life with the people I get to live life with. And I want the world to see it and experience it.
Right.
And not to brag about it, but to learn from it and to share the fact that life is a beautiful, beautiful thing that we get to experience, but it's beautiful because we get to do it with other people.
Yeah.
And the connections that you have along the way. And I am so blessed to have the people in my life, people like you in my life, that I get to get through this crazy world together. And it's really, really fun. It's super enjoyable to get to do that. Yeah,
it's never easy, right? There's not one day that I can think of that's been, real easy. It's not easy on the golf course. That's why I say so much of your character can be shown out on a golf course. But when I mentor young people, it's like, look, I don't care what you do, whatever it is, but just do it with good people.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice, be kind, talk to people the way that they should be spoken to. And just try to enjoy the process of what it is that you're doing, because it's going to be hard. And anything that you do, I don't care. I'm a football guy. I approach my world in everything like I'm in a locker room. That's how I try to work with my team. I want my daughter to play team sports because I think that there's nothing like it. I love watching my nieces and nephews play team sports because there's, that type of camaraderie. That's where I think you build those skill sets of caring about others and wanting to be there and wanting to be successful, not just for yourself, but for others, to bring other people along. And that's the best part of running a business. It really is about seeing somebody that needs to work. Everybody needs to have that job to put food on the table. But when we can create an environment where the people that are grinding it with us together can actually enjoy themselves because, they figured out a way to make others happy, or to at least make sure that others are able to get through a difficult situation, then, we had a good day.
Yeah.
Right. Did you have a good day today? Did you make it better? Was your day a little bit better because of how you approached it and how you thought about your tone? And that's why connecting with people is so impactful, right? Anything you have to do all on your own, right?
I wouldn't even want to do stuff on my own. I'm in an industry that I could, right? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't be as effective, but getting to do things with other people is part of the goal. I mean, it is the goal, right? And being able to have an impact on those people is a blessing. Like, I know you're a leader, right? Obviously. You went from being a producing salesperson, right? Yeah. To being an entrepreneur who decided to put his name on the door and have the guts to be the leader from the front and say, look, guys, get behind me. I've got this. Follow me. You create the culture, you create the tone, and you've brought that into your company. And it's a beautiful thing to get to watch. And it's inspirational for myself to be able to learn from that and grow from that, from seeing the way that you handle those things. But tell me a little bit about, like, as you progress through that, how long have you had the company open now?
Well, the agency that I acquired was over 100 years old, so third generation. But my transaction was about 4 years ago now.
4 years ago. So tell me a little bit, because I think through these things all the time, and I think it's important for anybody who's listening that, tell me a little bit about that transition, what you know now, what maybe you wish you'd known, what it looks like maybe now that the dust has settled a little bit. Yeah. And then what your focus is next. Like, what's the next phase of Matt Bitonti? Like, what's the next phase of where you want to go? Because you've done some really cool stuff. Yeah. And we could talk for hours about the stuff that you've done and accomplished, but what is the nuance of where you want to go? Well,
we spent the better part of, the past 4 years upgrading our technology and finding the right mix of people that wanted to still deliver our message and fit into the culture that will always be answering the phone and picking up the phone. And now I would say we're pretty much there. And my staff knows this. Like, my number one goal for 2025 is that I want to end the year with the same staff that we began the year with, or maybe add. Yeah. Right. But that will absolutely positively be the number one success marker, is that, do we have the same staff? Because if we do, then that means that I did my job, which was I treated everybody fairly. I treated everybody with respect, and I helped them when they needed it. So my role now is getting to the point where, so we have a member on our team that sort of manages the day-to-day operation now, and she's been great. So it allows me to spend more time really helping our staff deal with complicated situations where my relationship might be required. Because I can promise you, it's not my knowledge, right? Our staff is way more knowledgeable than I am on almost everything. They're great, but sometimes they need my relationship. Yeah. Why? Because of the tone, right? And sometimes people just want to hear from you because your name is on the door. Yeah. And I understand that. And I needed to make I need to put myself back in a position to be able to do that. Because I think if you were to talk to our staff about what frustrates them, because I'm not perfect, right? But what would frustrate them about me, it's the fact that I'm not available to deal with what they need. So more than anything, I view my role as taking care of the staff, because our staff, I absolutely 100%, this is the absolute truth. Our staff, every single one of them is more important to me than any one client, right? In terms of success in our business, literally, I view our potential growth of our revenue is how do we make sure that we are the best place to work and our staff is happy and satisfied with their job. And so that's really my big focus, is to spend the time that I have available with our staff, because they're the ones there on the front lines. And if I can help them communicate things to the customer, then I did my job. And I believe that we'll continue to grow our revenue based on that. So I don't have like a strategy in terms of like, this is how I'm going to go sell more insurance. It's simply communicating with our staff, because what happens is we're a boutique shop, and our growth is based on referrals. Right?
Well, what an incredible entrepreneurial nugget there too, of you have shifted from working, in the business to now working on the business. And you see things from a different perspective, and from a perspective of leadership and understanding what a true leader does and should do. It was said to me, and I heard, and it's always rang a bell with me, is train your staff well enough that they can leave you at any moment. Yeah. Teach them that they can leave you at any moment, but treat them well enough that they never will.
Right. Yeah. That's great.
And that's what I'm hearing from you, is that you've decided to treat people at such a high level that they don't just want to work with you, but they feel a part of what you're doing, right? Creating a vision that's so big and awesome that they can see themselves in your vision, that they can see their place and their role inside that. And being able to do that, that's the next level of what I believe anyone that's been in our shoes needs to get to, is to do that.
When you start a company, or you're taking over a company, you're making it your own, or you're making changes, I mean, it is a blur. And I have learned a ton about that. And if we're blessed enough to do it again, to acquire another agency, to make it, part of ours, I'll certainly do things differently. But ultimately, it boils down to our staff.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough environment, and they're dealing with, the same thing, right? Every day, most of the time they're on the phone, it's because someone's upset.
Yep.
So imagine having to be, in sort of my mid 30s, I went and got worked towards a master's in clinical psychology, and decided sort of halfway through that program that I didn't want to spend another 6 years in school to go get my doctorate, right? But I'm, by nature a coach, right? And when I got into this, it was more about being a life coach than it was about being a therapist. And even my professors were clear with me early on, like, you're way more of a life coach than you are a therapist. So, I don't intentionally use that, but I think it's what helps people want to be around us, is because that's sort of my nature, whether it's with a customer or a staff member. But coaching in general, which I know is a big part of the real estate business, it's not so present in our world, but it is what I do every day, right? I'm coaching our staff on how to deal with our customer base. But why am I doing that? Not so that, we build our revenue, so that they're going to have challenges every day dealing with it. And if I can help them with building their skill set to deal with a customer, they're going to have a better day.
Yeah.
They're going to have a better day, because they will have done a better job, a more constructive job of helping clear that task, right? And have satisfied that customer. So again, if we have if our staff has a better day and they're happy, then I'm going to be happy. Right?
And the customer's going to be happy, and the world around them is going to be happy.
Right.
And you can continue to grow the what I'm calling on this podcast is the positivity movement of we're going to be happy. And I want to be remembered as someone that provides joy, that spreads joy, that helps people realize that joy matters, and that being happy doesn't just come from the things that we all think. That true happiness and true joy comes in the small moments.
Right.
And it comes from having those moments and experiencing them with people that you care about.
Yeah.
And the joy of having the opportunity to walk down a fairway in what is considered the holy grail of golf with some of my best friends is a core memory because of who I was with.
Right.
And because of the joy that we bring into each other's lives. That's why it's a core memory. And I love that I get the chance. I'm having the opportunity in my life now to do this podcast and be able to do it with people like you, because the world needs to see more of this. They need to hear more of this. They need to experience more of this, because unfortunately we're not in a world that always thinks this way.
Right.
And having the chance to spread joy and energy, but also to have someone that I can sit with that can bring a calm spirit to that, a calm, cool, collected mindset to that is inspirational.
Well,
so,
your message, like I said, a few weeks ago, is why I'm sitting here, and I thank you for that.
Yes.
This is great.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on with me today. I've enjoyed it. I've had a great time. I feel calm and relaxed. I don't know why, but I do. And just thank you for being who you are.
Thanks.
Because who you are matters. And like I've said plenty of times, and anyone who watches knows, being yourself is important, and being the person that you were meant to be, that you were put in this earth to be, matters. And you matter, and the world needs you to be who you are. So thank you, Matt. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for being who you are and not being abashed of it. And because the world needs you.
Thanks,
and
buddy.
It's awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening today, and we'll see us back next time. We're excited to have you, and thanks.
All right, buddy. Take care. All right.